how to create or how to design the conceptual schema. So conceptual schema is primarily designed to have a basic understanding or to create kind of high level understanding on the requirements, right? So can you tell me what do you understand by high level presentation or high level language? Why these languages are used? Why we do we need this kind of high level representation of something? Can you tell me why? Because that's why we have worked upon, or we have discussed a lot upon the conceptual schema, conceptual data modeling, right? So whatever purpose a high level language offers or provides, it is similar that high level conceptual data modeling, conceptual schema provides, right? So can you tell me why the high level languages are required? What is the purpose of what is the objective of high level languages? Can you tell me? Anyone? Right? I'm waiting for response. Can you respond to the question that why high level languages are required? What are the purpose? What is the purpose high level language? Yeah. So it is primarily to have some kind of easy to understand or easy to read or easy to basically perceive something, right? It is friendly, it is simplicity, it's simplicity for user, programmer friendly, easy for humans to give commands. So yeah, so primary purpose is to convey with ease. The primary purpose is to basically make it easy to understand for a simple or for a basically naive user, right? So that's what we are getting from a conceptual data schema or conceptual data model. So from a text requirement, we have designed a ER diagram, which is a kind of high language or high level representation of a requirement, right? Now these requirements means the requirements in the form of ER diagram will be going to a different user, who will be basically designing actual system entities, actual system elements from this ERD representation or this high level representation, right? And basically this step is basically called, you can say, mapping a high level language or mapping a high level representation into a system level or system compatible representation. And now we are basically going into the some kind of middle level representation, right? So middle level representation is often referred as a logical data or logical schema representation, right? So जो आप database tables lab में create कर रहे हो, actually में during your labs, if labs are happening with you, those are basically not the logical data schema, right? Those are not the representation of logical schema. Those are the system level representation of the data requirements. So we have first got these data requirements into some text representation, and then from these text representation we have designed a ER diagram, which is again referred as a high level representation. And from this ER diagram we are extracting some other level of representation, right? And this again middle level of representation is often as a referred as a basically, you can say, logical schema or logical data modeling, right? So I think आप लोगों ने काफी सारी जगह पे क्लास डायग्राम देखा होगा. Class diagram, let me share a document. Yeah. So if you can see carefully, this is a one instance, this is a one example of a class diagram, right? So here also you can see we have these 5 entities, and these 5 entities are referred as a table actually. So maybe the example which we are taking is basically is again mapped from a ERD. So the diagram which we are right now in the screen, it could be a transformed form of some ERD, right? So here you can see we have 5 entities, and within each entity, like in order entity or order table, we have kept a lot of attributes. So attributes are mentioned, their data type mentioned, and their constraints are also mentioned, right? So this could be the one of type of one. This could be one representation of a logical schema, right? So from the ER diagram, which is a conceptual schema, we can get a intermediate representation of the data requirements in the form of logical data modeling, right? So it is often referred as a logical data modeling, or maybe it can be referred as a logical data schema, logical schema, right? You can use any term. So logical schema you can use, right? So basically, for any basically you can say any high level representation, we will have a middle level representation also. We cannot transform a high level representation of details directly to a low level or machine level representation. You need to apply some kind of some kind of middle level representation, right? And to achieve this middle level representation, you need to have some kind of mapping, some kind of abstraction, right? So abstraction is something which separates the detailing naturally. So this is what we have taken in the lecture number 1 or 2. Maybe we have taken the definition of abstraction, that it is to separate two levels of detailing. That is one part, and by creating some kind of mapping. So whenever we create some kind of mapping, it automatically achieves some kind of separation between two levels of detail. So here we are trying to achieve a different representation, different form of representation of the same data requirements, which are referred as a logical schema, right? Now, so basically we have got this ER diagram as a conceptual schema. Now, what could be the possible steps to transform? What could be the possible procedure to transform the conceptual schema or maybe the ER diagram into these logical schema, right? That's what is the topic of today's discussion. So let me share a diagram and let me discuss the steps or probably the rules that or maybe by which you can simply transform a given ER diagram into a conceptual schema, logical schema, right? So we again take a specific example to demonstrate the idea. But before that, let me share few steps through which you can simply understand that this is how you can basically convert a ER diagram into a logical schema, or maybe into a database which you can create directly. Okay, so primarily in the process of mapping, now I'm using this term mapping. So mapping, basically when I say mapping, it means it is achieving or it is implementing some kind of abstraction in this process, right? So process is what we are trying to create the conceptual, we are trying to create a logical schema of its conceptual schema. So we have ERD as an input, and we will be getting a conceptual logical schema, or maybe a tabular representation or database representation of a data requirement. Now, so in a typical ERD, we will have three elements, right? Entities. Then we have attributes for each entity, including primary key attribute, multi-valued attribute, and composite attribute. And along with it, we will have the relationship between entities, right? Pair of entities. And there will be naturally the relationship ratio or cardinality ratio. Now, with these details, how can you create the database, right? So basically, whenever we are mapping a conceptual data schema, conceptual schema, or maybe ERD, we need to map each and every aspect or part of schema, part of ERD to a logical schema or to a database, right? So let's see. So the very first step, say you need to create a relational table, or maybe you can say a schema, right? So it is better to use term table. So from now onwards, because now we are basically somehow moving to a logical data modeling, so we will not use this term schema for the table. we will be using this term table directly, database table, relational table, right? So whenever we are mapping ERD into the tabular structure or database structure, the very first rule says, you need to create a database table for. Now we have three possible scenario where you need to, or you will be creating a database table. So it is basically a kind of mandatory condition. You need to create a different or maybe database table for each entity in the ER diagram. It is clearly obvious. So for each entity in the ER diagram, you have to create a separate database tables, right? And if we are creating a database table for each entity, we will be having all the attributes of the entity into the database table also, including primary key, right? So it is, the first thumb rules should be clear to you that for each entity you will be creating a table. So it is basically the minimum number of tables you can have in a database. जितने number of entities ERD में होंगे उतने तो entities होंगे ही होंगे, tables होंगे ही होंगे, right? That's what. That is because of first thumb rule, you can say. For each entity in a ERD, you have to create a separate database table. That's first rule. Along with it, or addition to this, if there is a attribute of nature multi-valued. Multi-valued means attribute which can have more than one value. Like for a student, we can have two addresses. Address 1, address 2, something like that. We can have 2 phone numbers. We can have 2 email IDs. We can have 2 location values, something like. For department, we can have 2 locations. For project, we can have 2 locations, US and India, something like that. So whenever we have this kind of attribute, which is referred as a multi-valued attribute, you need to create a separate database table, right? So initially we have created the number of tables equivalent to the number of entities. Now, if you observe that some entity is having this multi-valued attribute, you have to create a separate database table to keep this multi-value attribute and the primary key of the base entity. Base entity means where this attribute was defined in the ER diagram. So suppose we have this entity student where we have kept a contact number as a multi-valued. Now we will be, so in the database modeling, in the logical data modeling, we will have all these entities. We will have this student entity also, but along with these entities, we need to create a different table which is having these 2 attributes, the primary key of student table and this attribute which is called contact. So in this additional table, which is due to multi-valued attribute, the name of this table will be student underscore contact, and it will have only 2 attributes, the primary key of the student and this multi-valued attribute, right? And basically this we are doing because if we keep a multi-value attribute in the same table, in the same base table, it will create the multiple repetition of the values, right? तो वो हम बाद में देखेंगे कैसे करेंगे, जब आप लैब्स में इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे तब ये रियलाइज कर सकते हैं वैसे आप कि अगर हम मल्टी वैल्यू एट्रीब्यूट के लिए सेपरेट टेबल ना क्रिएट करेंगे तो क्या प्रॉब्लम होगी. तो क्या होगा कि वी कैन नॉट हैव these 2 values in one single cell. So to basically resolve this issue, you need to create two tuples basically. So all the records will be repeated. So student number 1, roll number ABC, roll number 1, 2, 3, and likewise then first contact number, and in the second row also we have to repeat all these values. Only this last value, which is contact number, will be different, right? So to avoid this repetition of all the remaining values except this column, we can simply separate this column, separate this attribute from a base table, right? Similarly, so basically the first condition was create a database table for each entity. Now the second statement says, or second condition says, if you found that there is some multi-value attribute placed on some entity, you need to create a separate table for that multi-value attribute. Third possible scenario to have to create a real database table is a M:n relationship. So in a ER diagram, if you observe if you observe that there is a M:n relationship between database entities or database right? So you need to create a separate database table to capture this MS2N relationship, right, efficiently. So along with these base tables, there will be one possible table for multi-valued, and if you observe that there is any instance of MS2N relationship in this ER diagram, you need to create a separate database table, right? And in this table, there will be only two attributes. Minimum there will be two attributes, which will be the primary keys of both entities, right? Primary key of both entities that you have to do, right? So basically, there are only three possible cases for which or due to which you need to create a database table, right? So first rule is obvious that for each entity you have to create a separate table. But second, which is about talking about a multi-valued scenario, multi-valued attribute scenario, it is exceptionally happens. And third is obviously it happens frequently that in each RD basically we'll have at least one or two instances of MS2N relationship. So this is about entities, that how you can map entity and how you can create a distinct or different table so for each entities, right? Now, because we have got the relationship among the different entities, pair of entities. So to map this relationship, like entities are mapped into the logical schema, their attributes are mapped in the logical schema. Now one thing is remaining, which is a relationship aspect. So we could have possibilities of 1:1 relationship, 1:M, and M:1, and M:1 is already taken care of. So there is a concept of foreign key. This we have discussed in the labs with CS123, and I hope you are also working on some assignments or working on some experimental problems during your labs. So maybe on the very first or second assignment itself, you got familiar with this idea of foreign key. Why we are using foreign key? So foreign keys is naturally used to define the relationship between two entities and to control the relationship ratio. That is the first primary impression we got. Now, whenever we map, so you need to understand why and from where this foreign key is coming. So because in the labs, you are directly creating the database tables. You are not having the basic idea why this foreign key is imposed, from where it is coming, and what basically what are the things it is controlling or it is defining. So foreign key is defining or controlling the relationship between two participating entities. So we have defined this relationship ratio naturally between entity in the ER diagram. Now you have to define or identify an attribute which could control or which could act as a foreign key, right? And which could control the values in the different table. Because now two entities are mapped into the two tables. Now you have to place attribute on the different table or the second side table to control or to maintain this relationship, right? So that's why it is sometimes called reference key. Foreign key is also used. Foreign key is also called reference key or referential integrity, right? So we will discuss this on detail, and we can easily understand that how and why this foreign key is important. So where we need to apply this foreign key, that is the second thumb rule for this mapping of conceptual to data. First thing, whenever we see a relationship, you need to identify attribute which will act as a foreign key and which will be mapped into the different table, and in the different table, on the second table, it will be acting as a foreign key, right? So one condition you have to understand, whenever we are selecting an attribute in a table or in an entity as a primary key, only this primary key attribute can act as a foreign key. Because in a database table or in an entity, primary key attribute is something which will always be there. We cannot have a blank field or null value for this primary key attribute, and it will have a unique value. So that's why this primary key attribute is the most reliable value through which can be used to control the relationship between two entities. That's why primarily whenever we define a foreign key in the different table, it will always refer to, or it will always related to a primary key of the database table, right? So let's take all three possible scenarios of relationship for. So whenever we have 1:1 relationship between two entities in a ER diagram, whenever we have this 1:1 instance between two entities, to define this relationship, whenever we map these two entities into two different tables, now you can use the primary key of either side. One possible option is you can use the primary key of this side table. So suppose we have this department and employee relation entities and their relationship. So if it is 1:1, so you can use the primary key of department table. So let's take D number as a primary key of the department table. So you can use D number of department and place it to the employee table as a new attribute, which is often referred as a foreign key. So in the employee table, this D number is added to define this foreign key relationship, right? So the D number column in the employee table will be called as a foreign key, and it always refers values from the department's D number. That's what a foreign key means. So in case of 1:1, you can use the primary key of either side. या तो D नंबर को ले लो और यहाँ प्लेस कर दो, या तो एम्प्लॉय टेबल के प्राइमरी की को लेके यहाँ प्लेस कर दो. So one thing we can do, right? और वो हम इधर का प्राइमरी की यहाँ यूज कर सकते हैं, इस साइड की प्राइमरी की इधर कर सकते हैं. Both ways. So we have two alternatives. So whenever we have 1:1, you can use the primary key of other side, right? Similarly, in the case of 1:m and m:1, so this case is very specific and very important, right? So we have one side entity as 1. So we have two entities again because it is a relationship. We have two entities. So now you can do one thing. If we place m side entity attribute, primary key attribute into one side entity, it will create some problems. A problem which we have already discussed. It will create the repetitive values of other attributes. But if we place one side entity's primary key to the m side entity, right? So if we have m:1 or 1:m relationship, we need to take the primary key of one side entity and use this attribute in the m side entity as a foreign key, right? So this is a very clear also, right? So in case of 1:n or m:1, we need to do what? We need to simply use m side entity. In the m side entity referencing PK. So you need to add foreign key in the m side entity. It refers to the primary key of one side entity. That is very clear and crystal. Now, in the last case probably, so whenever we have ms:2n relationship, we have to create a separate table. That is what we have discussed in the last condition of relation creation. And we need to create two foreign keys, right? Because we have created a separate table and we have kept the primary keys of those two participating tables or entities into that table. It means these both attributes which are added into this new table should be going to, or should be referencing to, the base table of respective base tables, right? So I think with this we can say that most of the attributes, most of the elements, are basically all the elements has been captured and mapped into the logical schema, right? And let me move to the specific example. So this is one case or one diagram we have discussed during last 3 or maybe more than 3 labs. So let me take it once with you to describe. So this is what we have drawn. So this is again the company database ER diagram. So here you can see we have entities, 4 entities: employee, department, project, and dependent, right? And basically there are relationship. We have got one relationship as MS2 1. Here you can see between project and employee. So it is describing this relationship MS2N. And there is this multi-valued attribute on the location, if you can see. And this location attribute is based on the department entity, right? So let me share again. So you might be puzzling, right? So this particular instance we have taken. So now we are familiar with this diagram also, because we got a few assignments, or we have got few lecture notes based on this diagram here. So you can see here we have got all possible cases which we have taken the thumb rules. So for each entity, employee, department, project, and dependent, we have defined this logical schema. So in the right side diagram, you can see we have got employee table, we have got department table, we have got project table, we have got dependent table, right? So for each entity, we have created the possible relational database. Next thing is to see for the multi-valued attribute. So basically only department table or department entity is having this multi-valued attribute as a location. You can easily understand, or you can easily spot that the location attribute in the department entity is having of nature multi-valued. So rule 2, basically you can say demonstrate or basically outline that for each multi-value attribute you need to create a separate table. So that's why we have created this table called department location, if you can see. But you have to see it carefully that we have mentioned this table name as a DEPT_locations, right? So it is always important to define a proper table naming, right? So because this table is created because of the multi-valued nature of attribute locations, and the base table is department. So whenever we create a table for this scenario, this multi-valued scenario, you need to create a table by naming it the base table name _ attributes name. And in this table, we have kept only 2 attributes. First attribute is the primary key of its base table. Primary key of its base table is the department number and department location. So department location is a attribute, right? So this department location is because of multi-valued nature. Now let's see for the third possible scenario for new table creation which is MS2N. So we have got only one instance of MS2N, that is between employee and project, right? So for this instance, we need to create a different table. So it is important to see whenever we have MS2N relationship, we have to create a new table, and the name of table will be the name of relationship. So whatever naming convention we are using or we have used for MS2N relationship, as it is, we have to create a table. So you can see we have got works on database table. We have got works on database table with attributes as the primary key of one employee entity and primary key of project entity, because these 2 entities are participating in this relationship, right? So these two attributes will be basically the foreign key also. So as ESSN is coming from employee table, employee primary key, and P number is coming from, or it is referencing to the P number of project table. So individually these 2 are foreign key, but for this table works on, these 2 attributes will be the part of primary key, right? So in the database table or in the relational database, we can have more than one attribute as a primary key, part of primary key, right? तो ये दोनों मिलके प्राइमरी की सेलेक्ट कर रहे हैं वर्क्स ऑन टेबल के लिए, एंड सेपरेटली दोनों फॉरेन कीज है, ठीक है। सो व्हेनेवर वी आर क्रिएटिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ टेबल, यू शुड बी लिटिल केयरफुल कि आपको प्राइमरी की वैल्यू पहले डिफाइन करना है इन एट्रीब्यूट्स में या कि पहले फॉरेन की, ये आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा। दैट दीज आर थिंग्स यू शुड बी केयरफुल व्हाइल डूइंग इन द लैब्स, or maybe you can perform some experimentation also, right? Okay, so we have done with these entities and multi-valued scenario and then MS2N. Now, if you can see carefully, each and every entity is mapped into the tables, and for each table we will have, or we have created, we have defined our attribute as a primary key. Like for employee, we have mapped each and every attribute. So first name, middle initial, last name, SSN, birth date, address, gender, salary, super assistant, and D number. Now, why these last two attributes are coming? These two. So SSN and D number. So that's what you have to see, right? So if you can carefully see it. Let me create some object through which I can point out. So yeah, it is right. So I'm trying to highlight something. I'm trying to make something important to understand. Now, if you focus on super assistant D number here, and here you can see in the case of this D number, or in the case of this D number, or these two, or maybe ESSM. These are basically some attributes which are acting as a foreign keys also, right? So you need to see in the employee table, we will have this super assistant as a primary, as a foreign key, right? So this super assistant is a foreign key, and it is because we have got this self-referencing relationship between employee to employee, right? It's 1:n relationship. So this is one instance which we have referred as a self-referencing relationship. So because of this 1:n relationship between employee and employee, we have got this super assistant, because 1:n means we will be using the primary key of one side entity to the M side entity. So because we have got this employee entity both side, so we will be adding a attribute. We will be adding an attribute which will act as a foreign key on the same table. Naturally, we cannot have a separate table. So what we have done, we have inserted an attribute named as a super assistant, and this super assistant will be referencing to the SSN because it is placed in the same table, right? Similarly, if you can see this D number things, D number. So this D number attribute is not placed in the employee entity, but we have added this D number because D number is a primary key. This D number is a foreign key here, and it is coming from the department's D number, and it is because of we have got this one relationship of nature 1:n, 1:n between department and employee, right? So between department and employee, we have got this one instance of 1:n relationship, right? And to maintain or to record it, we need to add this D number because department is one side entity. So we need to add the primary key of department to the employee table. So this D number in the employee table is because of this works for relationship, which is of nature 1:n, right? Okay, now let's see, or let's go to the department table. Now in the department table, we have got this D number as a primary key naturally, but we have added this MGR SSN. So if you see between employee and department, there is this another relationship of nature 1:1. This 1:1, right? So in case of 1:1, you can place the primary key of either side. आप चाहें तो डिपार्टमेंट टेबल का प्राइमरी की आप एम्प्लॉय में ऐड कर सकते हैं, जो ऑलरेडी है, एक और कॉलम ऐड करना पड़ेगा, राइट? एंड आप या तो फिर ऐसा करें कि एम्प्लॉय टेबल का जो प्राइमरी की है वो डिपार्टमेंट में ऐड कर दें. That is समथिंग which we have defined. So MGRSSN is basically because of this manages relationship, which is of nature 1:1 between employee and department. Now, if we go to the department location, so department location we have clearly discussed, and now let's go to the project table. So if you see, there is this relationship between project and department of nature 1:n. So because department is one identity, so we will be taking the primary key of department table and place it to the n side or m side entity projects table. So that's why we have added this D number attribute into the project table to maintain the or to map the relationship of nature 1:n, right? Okay, so now with this we are going to the works on we have already discussed. This is because of this table is basically originated because of MS2N relationship between employee and project, right? Now we are going to the dependent database table. So if you see carefully in the dependent table, we have these basic attributes like dependent name, gender, birth date, and relationship. Now to maintain the or to represent the 1:n relationship between employee and dependent, we have added this ESSN as a foreign key here. ESSN as a foreign key here. So one important question is there, why we have underlined the ESSN in the dependent. So I basically raise this question to you, why in the dependent table this ESSN is still marked as a primary key. So can you respond to this question? Let me wait for your answers. Why in the dependent table we have got ESSN marked as a primary key? Let's respond. Let's respond to the question. Why in the dependent table, the ESSN is marked as a primary key? Yeah, so that is the main reason, right? So dependent is a weak entity. That's why we need to define the primary key of a weak entity by using the primary key of the main entity on which it depends and its own prime attribute or weak prime attribute, something like that, right? So these are the possible rules, or these are the possible exercises we can do whenever we perform something like mapping the conceptual data schema to the logical schema, right? Yes. So if you have any